Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment we are going to discuss about the Juvenile Justice and Care Amendment Bill. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims and also from the perspective of GS mains papers. So let's look at the topics of discussion. These are the topics that we are going to discuss in brief. So let's begin with why is it in the news. So the Juvenile Justice Bill, which has been passed by the Rajya Sabha on the 28th of July, recently, it has actually garnered support in March when it was tabled by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, and it actually garnered a lot of support from not only the government but also the opposition. So it smoothens many things such as serious offences, what are the offences, what is going to be the adoption procedure, who is going to sanction the adoption procedure and the rest. Let's move on and talk about this bill. So if we talk about this particular bill, it has many amendments. Now first we understand that it has actually replaced the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. So the first provision of it is that serious offences, it takes into account that any offence that has the provision for punishment for more than 7 years is also going to be a serious offence. Right now there are three kinds of offences. First is heinous offence, then we have serious offences, and we have petty offences. Whatever serious offences, what are serious offences? Serious offences are actually those offences which under the IPC, Indian Penal Code, or any other law is punishable within the time frame of 3 to 7 years. Now according to this new amendment, any crime which is or any offence which is punishable for more than 7 years is also a serious offence. It also talks about non-cognizable offence. Cognizable offence are those offence for which arrest can take place without any warrant. So if there is an offence which falls within the ambit of punishment for 3 to 7 years, will be non-cognizable and not cognizable. Earlier it was cognizable. Okay. Then comes adoption. Earlier any the courts actually had the power to sanction adoption. But now under article, if we talk about under section 61 of the Juvenile Justice Act, now the district magistrates and the additional district magistrates, they have the powers to sanction adoption. Then comes appeals. If the orders or any decision that has been passed by the DM or the ADM, any aggrieved party can go to the divisional commissioner to have a look at that passage and the grievance would be settled. But that should be filed within the 30 days from the passage of the decision of the DM. Okay. Then additional functions are there for district magistrates such as reviewing the quarterly reports of child welfare committees and actually working in tandem with many boards such as juvenile justice boards, such as special juvenile protection units, district child protection units. So now district magistrate, the DMs will have a lot of work to do when it comes to having the Juvenile Justice Act to be in place. Then designated courts will be there. Any offences now will be tried by the designated courts like the Children's Court. And if we talk about child welfare committees, there are certain provisions related to it, such as it provides that a person will not be eligible to be a member of the CWC if he or she has any record of violation of human rights or child rights, has been convicted of an offence involving moral turpitude, has been removed or dismissed from the services of the central government or any state government or a government undertaking, is a part of the management of a child care institution in district. There are also procedures for removal of members. The appointment of any member of the committee shall be terminated by the state government. Remember that. It could be written that by the district magistrate or the additional district magistrate, but no, by the state government. After an inquiry, if they fail to attend the proceedings of the child welfare committees consecutively for 3 months without any valid reason, or if they fail to attend less than 3/4 of the sittings in a year. Let's talk about the reasons. Why was there a need to amend this act? First is, of course, as we have seen in the COVID-19 pandemic, more than 1 lakh children have lost at least one of their parents, and there are several kids who have lost both of their parents we saw certain messages circulating through WhatsApp, through Facebook to adopt children. Now, what would it create? What ruckus would it create? Because the families, or even if the children do not have their families, the guardians would be in a process to give up the children to anybody who comes along. The child could end up in child trafficking. So, in order to take a cognizance, the central government actually took the cognizance of that and recognized the importance of having an act to have proper efficiency when it comes to child adoption, children's adoption. Okay, but before that also, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, this institute audited several child care institutions, and it found out that 90% are run by NGOs and 39% child care institutions were not registered even after the 2015 amendment was brought in. So, the 2015 amendment, which was brought in order to replace the Hindu Maintenance and Adoption Act of 1956 and Guardians of Wards of 1890 for Muslims, that is. But that was in order to streamline the adoption and not replace. Those acts could not be replaced by this act. So, in order to enhance adoption, then also there were certain causes that the act could not be as efficient as it was thought out to be. So, there were other provisions, there were other findings which actually talked about that many child care institutions, which were even funded by foreign institutions, were not actually providing the accurate facilities for the children. They were living in very unsanitary condition. Also, it was found out that at least out of 7,000 CCIs, child care institutes, there were 1.5% of institutes that were not complying with the norms of the Act. Also, 29% were falling short on many provisions of the Act. Also, no child care institute was found out to be 100% compliant with the Act. There were so many findings that actually enhanced the support for Juvenile Justice Act of Bill of 2021. Also, the rehabilitation of children is not a priority because under this Act, as we saw by the NCPCR, that so many loopholes were there. One loophole is as such, one thing is as such, that child care institutes, if they have filed an appeal to have a child care institute, any private run organization or any government aided facility as well, if they did not get the sanction from the court, then also it was deemed to be a child care institute for at least 6 months. If they are not able to garner the support of the government or a sanction of the court, they could run their child care institute for 6 months. Now, this is not possible because now the DM can only sanction the running of the child care institute, the founding of the child care institute. And Ministry of Women and Child Development, it shut down 500 illegal child care institutes since 2015. These are the horrendous things. So, first reason that we need to have in mind when it comes to the implications of this particular, the reason as well as the implication of this particular bill is that it will ensure speedy adoption and increase protection of children at the district level with checks and balances in place, but also speed up the adoption process. Why? Speedy trials in case of crimes committed by children, and also protection of children at the district level because the DM is going to be in charge, so he or she will be the accountable person to look at. And checks and balances will also be there, but also speed up the adoption process in the country, right? Moving on, there are certain challenges. First, the district magistrate is always and most of the time saddled with so many mainstream responsibilities. This new amendment can just be seen as a fall in the crack, something to take up the space, the remaining space. Then specific training in child protection rules are also not given to the district magistrates because their mainstream work is not such. They are generalists and they do not have the proper training when it comes to the adoption procedure, how to deal with child welfare committees. Then devolution of responsibilities will be a pretty challenging role for the DM because what these all institutes, the juvenile justice boards, the special juvenile protection units, these all have certain roles. But how to devolute those powers to those institutes will be a challenge. If we talk about this amendment bill, this is a welcome step, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, after claiming the lives of so many people with children who have actually died. The parents have died. So this is, of course, something that was very needed, and it's a welcome step. But the district magistrates and the ADMs, if they take it extremely seriously, that they continue with their working in tandem with the different boards, the different institutions with respect to children, especially the Central Adoption Resource Authorities, then only this could be seen as an extremely efficient step. Until and unless there is no proper training, that is not possible. Also, to chalk out the plan, it is of utmost necessity that the DMs chalk out a proper plan and have a quarterly reporting of that. Okay, so these were the way forward. Moving on, if we talk about our question, have a look at it. Discuss the key provisions of the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021 and also analyze its implication in brief. Okay. So you can try here to actually talk about the key provisions and then also compare with the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. Okay, the importance of the implications here, the importance of the JJ bill, why was it needed, and in order to make it more progressive and in order to make it advance in a proper manner, what are the implications are going to be that you also have to discuss. Okay. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.